Hi folks, welcome back to another episode with Crafts with Corey. Today, I think it's a fun one. So, I was asked to basically work on a Thompson. This is a semi-automatic copy. The Thompson semi-automatics have been around for a couple decades. But a friend of mine just recently got one, and he wanted me to take a look at it and work on it for him a little bit. There's also a new product on the market. It is a forced reset trigger for the semi-automatic Thompsons. If you don't know what a forced reset trigger is, what it does, it basically resets the trigger. It forces the trigger to reset for you. It automatically does that for you. It is 100% legal. It is legal by the ATF standards. It's legal by federal standards. And it basically allows you to take a really quick follow-up shot. It is not a machine gun. It is legally 100% fine, all kosher, but it's called a forced reset trigger. A lot of these have been developed for the AR platform, but now we're starting to see a lot of developments for additional platforms. And the company called Kinetic Crossfire has actually developed one for the Thompson. We've been working on it a little bit. It's a really fun system. So yeah, come along and learn a little bit more about this. So just a quick overview of the system. Kinetic Crossfire breaks this down a lot better than I can, so this is going to be the basics of how I can explain it. So in the kit, what you get is you get a new firing pin and you get a new disconnector. So as far as in the Thompson lower itself, so this part is the trigger, this part is your sear, and then this part right here is the new disconnector. What they've done is on the disconnector, they've welded or attached a peg right here. That's the major difference in this disconnector. So how the system works normally is with your normal disconnector, when you fire a round, the bolt comes back, and then when the bolt comes forward, it will push this disconnector down, and this front tab will press on the trigger mechanism and will reset it into normal semi-automatic mode. It will actually trip the trigger, so it forces you to release the trigger and to be able to fire the round again. In the Kinetic Crossfire force reset trigger, what happens? Pull the trigger, round goes off, bolt comes back. When the bolt comes forward, so if you're still pulling the trigger, the bolt will come forward, it will push the disconnector down just like normal, and what happens is the disconnector gets pushed down. That front peg on the disconnector will also push the sear down. So when the front of the sear goes down, the back of the sear comes up. It will catch the firing pin just like normal. It will also push the trigger forward, resetting the trigger into the normal firing mode, or in the normal firing position. Then when the bolt is all the way forward, there is a clearance cut on the bottom of the bolt right here that will then allow the disconnector to raise back up and for you to fire again. So again, as the bolt's coming forward, loading and chambering around, it pushes the disconnector down, resets the trigger for you, and if you keep pressure on the trigger, then you can quickly pull it again. Normal semi-automatic mode. It still fires from a closed bolt. It is not a full auto sear, it's nothing like that. It is just, honestly, what all it is doing, it is resetting the trigger for you. So I want to talk about one specific problem I had with this particular gun. So I've got the pins that the trigger and the sear rotate on. So this part is the trigger, obviously, and then the silver part is the sear. This part in the middle is called the lifter. So what it does is when you pull the trigger, it lifts up on the front of the sear, thus releasing the firing pin in the back. So in this specific instance, I wasn't getting good engagement between the lifter and the sear. So in essence, the front of the sear could slip off and trip like this. I could basically, in the inside of the gun, I could press down on the front of the sear and it would slip off the lifter. So that was causing me a lot of problems and causing just regular semi-automatic fire in this system trying to use the force reset trigger. So what I needed to do is basically have the lifter angle back farther so it engaged farther back on the tip of the sear. So how I did that is I actually removed material on the front of the lifter where it sits and hits on the trigger. You can probably see right through here the extra little silver bit. So the lifter is now sitting farther back and engaging the sear more. I also needed to polish up the tip of the sear because it had a couple of notches, and I think what it was doing, it was catching on the lifter and causing it to rotate forward. I wanted this lifter to rotate as far backward as safely possible. So another modification I had to do on this system is really just for this gun. So the previous owner to this gun had a dummy fire selector installed. 100% dummy, it does absolutely nothing. It's just for aesthetics. This is a Reenactor gun, so the previous owner wanted to make sure that it looked as close to what a original would look like as possible. So it is a dummy fire selector. So on the sear that he had to grind out part of the disconnector to basically act as a relief cut. And so I had to do the same thing on the Kinetic Crossfire piece, but it does not interact with this selector at all. It's just a clearance cut. So just a small little piece. So the Kinetic Crossfire disconnector force reset trigger does need some fitting. However, if you have any experience at all with using files, you'll be fine. So one of the problems I was having is I couldn't cock the bolt backwards correctly. It wouldn't open up all the way. So the owner of Kinetic Crossfire is a wonderful gentleman, offered a lot of help, and he even, I believe this information is on his website too. But so again, the bolt, I wasn't able to cock the bolt all the way back. How I fixed that is basically I just lowered the hump on the top of the disconnector just a little bit, again using hand files. One of the other problems I had is the bottom section here of this little L piece could contact the lifter and basically cause that to trip into the reset position. It's just like on the original disconnector. The front of the L piece contacts that lifter and causes it to trip off of the sear and forcing you to release the trigger in the normal fashion. So I had to bring that up just slightly so it wouldn't contact the lifter as much. But hopefully in this position you can see how this works. So we've got the lifter on the sear and we've got the disconnector. So when the disconnector comes down, it presses on the sear, forcing the trigger to rotate forward in a normal fashion. And that way you can just pull the trigger again. So based on the suggestion of Kinetic Crossfire, I added an additional spring to the firing pin. So it really just attaches onto the striker here and just adds a little bit more oomph to the firing pin. I believe that Kinetic Crossfire, their new kits, will start shipping with a higher power firing pin spring. Primers can be hard. This system, just based on how it works, you need a higher power hammer spring. Speaking of springs, there's the regular factory springs, recoil springs for the bolt, and then there's also the easy pull spring kits. Again, Kinetic Crossfire has more information on the differences between those two. This particular one is running the easy pull springs, but I think we're going to kind of monkey with that and kind of get in a good balancing act with it. The other thing is actually installing the firing pin into the bolt. So the bolt has two pins that retain the firing pin. The firing pin will not come out with these installed. I only had to take out the middle one here, and the firing pin was able to drop out. I polished up the firing pin that comes with it and made it run nice and smooth back and forth and installed the pin. It's a tight fit, so if you're doing this yourself, it is a tight fit, so don't worry too much about that. The only thing I did with the receiver is right through here is the feedway for the rounds coming into the chamber. There was a pretty big ridge right here that I think was slowing down the rounds and causing them not to feed properly. So I just took a little file and just smooth that out just ever so slightly. Feeding problems on these, I think, are pretty common. There's a lot of people out there that have experiences with these that are a lot smarter than I am, so, but that's just what I did. I just took a little file and just smoothed it out ever so slightly. It's not, the ridge is still there, but I just smoothed it out so it wasn't so sharp. I feel like that sharp edge was digging into the rounds and just wasn't good for feeding. So one important thing about this particular semi-automatic Thompson is the barrel. So it is short. Normally, if it is a semi-automatic, it will have a long 16-inch barrel. But this specific thing is not technically a barrel. It is a blank-only barrel from Howl Arms. This gun is set up to run blanks. Again, it's a Reenactor gun. It's a World War II Reenactor gun. So this particular piece is ATF approved. It comes with an ATF letter saying that this is not a barrel. There's no way to modify this into a barrel. It has basically almost a solid block that lets the gases go out, but no projectile. With this being a Reenactor gun, that's one reason why we partnered with Kinetic Crossfire, because he had not tested this with any blanks or as part of a Reenactor gun. So I think in this setup, I think it's going to be a really good thing for the Reenactor community to be able to use this system.